And here we are, COP28 in the green zone with some of the most effective advocates for nuclear energy. They've been busy these last few days, and we're going to get an update what they've been working on, what they've been learning, what they've been thinking about. First, we're going to start with Miguel, who has to join a panel discussion a little bit later. But Miguel, you've been engaging in some educational efforts this year with your megawatt game. Tell me about what you've been doing and what you've been learning.
Yeah, so it's been really exciting. We've had 700 copies of Megawatt here in Dubai to give away to delegates to kind of help them attract talent to the energy sector. We're looking to green the curriculum. We're looking to expand Megawatt into other countries and other regions. Megawatt's a great tool to engage on energy and climate change, and through that about nuclear, because when you look at nuclear from a system perspective, you start to learn about why it's so important to support our net zero goals and work alongside renewables to reach net zero. So by playing the game, you kind of learn about that from a system perspective, and it's really great tool. And we've been giving away to delegates left, right, and centre. It's been really exciting seeing people with the card game all over the place, and we're giving it to all kinds of people. The LinkedIn co-founder had a copy last night, and hoping to give it to a lot of senior people around the world at this conference.
How's the reaction been to the game?
The reaction's been fantastic. Yeah, we've been even working with other youth groups, so organisations like SDG 7 Youth Constituency, and also people at the Children and Youth Pavilion. So it's a really great way to start talking to these other groups that at previous COPs we kind of were possibly a little bit separate from them. The nuclear advocates were here and all the other youth activists were here. But with things like Megawatt, we can really start changing that conversation and bringing people together and seeing that we're all on the same side. We all want to end fossil fuels, and we need everyone working together, as together is better.
I think that's wise. The approach you've taken with the game is a really good way to build bridges into some of those other energy communities. That's amazing. Charlene, you've done some incredible work in Jamaica and lots of other places as well, raising awareness of nuclear energy, getting young kids interested in studying and pursuing careers in nuclear energy. But this is your first COP, correct? Oh, second, you went to Sharm el-Sheikh. Great. Well, now as a 2-year veteran, what are some of your thoughts of what you've been seeing here at this climate, and any stories you might have at this climate talks?
Yeah, I think COP28 is a big step up from last year. It's really exciting, particularly because of the pledges that have been made. Also, as a part of that, I think as a byproduct of the pledges that were made, particularly tripling nuclear capacity by 2050, we've had a lot of interest from people who are just approaching our booths, approaching the pavilion to ask questions about nuclear energy and whether to understand whether or not it is actually a feasible goal for us to achieve net zero globally. And we've been loving the interactions. People are genuinely approaching us out of curiosity. And of course, we still have, a mixed bag of reactions or interactions that we do have with folks who may not have as much background in nuclear energy, but we're really excited and open to talking to everyone. And that's been, I think, the most rewarding part of being here at COP28. It's the visibility that nuclear energy has this year that nuclear energy has never had before at any COP.
Have you had the opportunity to talk to anyone from an island nation?
Yes, in fact, today I watched a panel that was talking about nuclear energy sustainability in the Caribbean, and the panelists were from the Caribbean Development Bank, the International Development Bank, the Commonwealth Development Office, and from CICRI. And I posed a question to them, knowing that the Caribbean is among the least carbon contributors to emissions globally. When we look at solutions for achieving or commitments that we've made, it's important for us to look at solutions that not only strive towards those commitments, but also advance our socioeconomic infrastructure. And so I mentioned, what are the banks, whether regionally or internationally, CICRI and the Commonwealth Development Office doing to support countries that are looking at projects that may not be as popular, let's say, and in the specific case of Jamaica, who has expressed interest in pursuing nuclear energy as a part of their energy mix. And I received, a mixed bag reaction. So the representative from CICRI, Dr. Gardner, was open to having a discussion about building capacity and building expertise within the organization, because he did mention that nuclear energy is something that they could look at, but they just currently don't have the expertise within the organization. On the side of the Caribbean Development Bank, they expressed concerns. The Caribbean Development Bank and the International Development Bank representative expressed concerns about nuclear risk, safety, as well as the timeline and the cost of building nuclear. And so I didn't really get a chance to respond to those, to address those responses, but I did approach them after and was able to connect with them and invited them to a panel that I will be on that is focused on debunking nuclear myths that will be held at the International Energy Agency, International Atomic Energy Agency panel on December 8th at 1 o'clock.
Man, all right. Well, we're looking forward to that. And yeah, it's, they bring up some legitimate concerns. And though the conversation about nuclear has been so much more positive and there's more open-mindedness into discussing it as an option, there are a lot of hurdles that remain, and the industry definitely needs to deliver. And I would understand some hesitance for island nations to be, the first to sign up for a new nuclear plant. So hopefully some of the other countries that are working on things can really deliver on those projects and raise that confidence a little bit. Absolutely, absolutely. All right, thank you so much. Nice. We'll move over here to Matt Meyer. Matt, this is your second COP as well. And what are you seeing compared to last year in Sharm el-Sheikh?
I'll build off of what Charlene said earlier. It's our biggest nuclear presence. I was fortunate enough to go last year, and I can tell just the difference between this year and last year. Like, you can see behind us the net zero nuclear booth, but what you don't see is the 4 other booths that are scattered around COP that are for nuclear. There's a small booth, mini booth from Nuclear for Climate. There's a large exhibit for Nuclear for Climate. Net Zero has another exhibit in the Blue Zone, as well as the IAEA Pavilion. So it's grown like crazy between this year and last year, and this is the right country to do it to, because everybody, I think, knows by now is that the UAE has the successful Baraka nuclear power plant, built in 10 years for $25 billion on time, on budget. All of us got a chance to tour it, right, over the last couple of days. So I mean, and it's just beyond impressive, the way you're treated when you get in there, the staff, very much run by women as well as men, and how well the facilities are and how beautiful the facility is, and how proud they are of the plant. I want to say, so last year was my first COP, and it took me a year to learn the ropes. This year I felt much more comfortable getting outside of the exhibit bubble and engaging with people in other pavilions. Dennis and I spent the first 2 mornings of COP walking around to different pavilions, trying to set up events about nuclear in other country pavilions, just to add more discussion into nuclear. It sounds like we've got one set up for Nigeria on week 2, which we won't be here, so now we have to hand it off to other people who will do an excellent job. But what I want to say is, last year it felt like we were nuclear still felt like maybe a little bit of an outcast. A lot of people still debating the issue. I feel totally different this year. Most people I talk to are just like, oh yeah, cool, nuclear, great. That's part of the mix. So I honestly feel like we've came a long way, and I haven't been to the COPs before that, but from what I've seen from movies of Atomic Hope and Eric's footage, it's like getting kicked out of events, getting kicked out of marches, being yelled and screamed at and told to go home. It's like, okay, in about 5 years' time, we basically shifted the entire narrative about nuclear, and now we see lots of great things happening, which I'm sure I'll leave it for you guys to touch on, with the big picture nuclear stuff that's going on at COP28.
Hell yeah. Yeah. It's remarkable change in the years I've been coming to COP, for sure. Dennis, the coolest shirt in the room here. Yeah. So your reflections here. What are you learning? What are you thinking about this whole ecosystem of people that care about the planet and are trying to do what they can to fix it. Any stories come to mind in your conversations?
I would love to start with my experience at the mini booth, which was more conversational because I got to interact with people directly. And then I love the questions that always come. I love the interaction, and that's where we actually really did the myth boosting. Actually, we had time to talk to people directly. We used the relationship between the bananas and then living close to the nuclear power plants and the rest of them, and it was really amazing. And then going forward to my session yesterday and the net zero for nuclear, it was amazing actually. Had time to talk, we had time to interact, and the panel session was really great. And this whole ecosystem is really amazing. Interacting with people, moving around, seeing different people, trying to see how they do their best to for us to reach net zero by 2050. And then the amazing signing of the tripling of the global nuclear energy capacity by 2050 was really great. And yesterday I was at the United States event where we witnessed the people and then International Atomic Energy Agency. We saw Mark Nelson also talking, and then people like Sama Bilbao unveiling the signing of corporations and companies agreeing to the reaching of the net zero by 2050. It was really amazing, and this is really great, and I'm very grateful to Generation Atomic, to Nuclear for Climate, to Net Zero Nuclear. It's really great being here. Thank you very much.
With that declaration of 20 some countries, we're up to maybe we're closer to 30 now, since 22 originally, but some more have signed on, including Ghana, by the way, with 23 gigawatts announced they're trying to build. I don't remember seeing Nigeria on that list. What's up with that?
Nigeria is actually coming up, though we have our own challenges. I was at the event where our president unveiled 100 to 1,000 electric buses. I wasn't too happy because I got to discuss with someone. I was like, we want to unveil 1,000 buses. We want Nigeria to roll out 1,000 electric buses because currently we're having challenges with fuel prices, hiking fuel prices. What are we going to charge these electric buses with? Like, Nigeria is having a lot of challenge with electricity, and then if we're trying to run these electric buses in rural communities where they absolutely have no access to electricity facilities, how are you going to charge these electric buses with them? So I was talking to them about that. Some of them are interested, some of them are disinterested, but I got the attention of someone, and she promised to reach out and get back to me. So I'm really happy because though the older generation might not be interested, we have Nigerian young generation in nuclear. I have two of my friends that are strongly advocating for nuclear. We're doing the best that we can. And when we get back home, we're definitely going to spread this message. Yeah, and once Nigeria gets it right, Africa will definitely get it right. Yeah.
Oh man, well, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad you're pushing the issue. Where's the Peruvian nuclear build-out plan, Shirley? So here we have Shirley Rodriguez, a very accomplished nuclear engineer. So yeah, also this is probably your third COP then, right? Glasgow was the first one. So you got some historical context there. Any reflections, stories from your first week on the scene?
My immediate reflections will be the interest from people not just from adults, but from students, from people from the indigenous communities. They come to me, especially from South America, because I speak Spanish. So when I engage with them, they have a lot of this information from the other benefits of nuclear beside electricity. So when they get to know what the benefits of nuclear are, it's just amazing, and I'm so grateful that they come to our booth. And although I like to do the groundwork, so I go out to different pavilions, different events, and I'm the one to like to ask, but what about nuclear, right? I appreciate all you being in the booth, but I like to go out and engage with people who are not as close to us or who cannot find us, unfortunately. But yes, that's the first two reflections that I have, the more interest in comparison when we went in Glasgow. You know, we had the mini booth, Bella was there, but now we have 4 pavilions. We also have Ether here, which is fusion. And one thing that I would like to mention is that I see kind of like this connection from fission and fusion, but we all here for the same goal. So the message is for all of us. We are all working in the strong force, so we have to work together until fusion it's a reality.
Very good. Yeah, that's true. There has been a little bit of a divide between fission and fusion categories. I don't know who's more to blame for that. Often I see fusion companies saying, well, our technology doesn't make a bunch of nuclear waste. So maybe we all need to work a little harder to be inclusive.
We all can take the blame, I guess, but it's in our position and in our power to change that narrative, right?
You know, a lot of the fission advocates would say, well, our technology exists. So that's the retort there. Yeah, that's awesome. And right, it should be everybody working together for a brighter future, for you know, all the kids that are running around here learning about clean energy, and for their kids as well. Right? Well, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you to all of you guys for all the hard work you're doing. Thank you to Osama as well behind the camera for capturing.
I'll add just a couple notes. So one is, like Shirley mentioned, talking with countries that don't have nuclear. That is where in my experience, where I've gotten the most maybe uncertainty about nuclear is talking to countries that don't have it. So I talked earlier that a lot of people have changed their mind on nuclear, but there's still a lot of uncertainty. So that's, I think, our work as advocates should shift to countries that don't have it, that still have a lot of that uncertainty. You can tell how proud Emirates is about their nuclear, because when you're walking along the corridors along COP, the street lighting, you'll find that it resembles very much like a fuel assembly. So, and that I've heard that wasn't unintentional. It wasn't by accident. And then the other time is when Dennis and I were walking around at pavilions, we did get a chance to inject a little question about nuclear into more or less an anti-nuclear press conference. So we just so happened to walk into the German pavilion right as they were setting up for a press conference from Jennifer Morgan, the special climate envoy for Germany, who happens to come from Greenpeace and has a long history of being anti-nuclear. And in the question phase, I raised my hand and came up to me and I said, well, I've seen a few reports now that Germany could start up 6 to 8 of their closed down reactors with minimal investment. Are you interested in doing that? What are your thoughts on that? And what was her answer?
Bluntly, she said no.
Yeah, it was a hard no, yeah. But at least he brought the question up, and I would cross my fingers and hope that we weren't the first people, and like as COP goes on, she's going to continue to get pushed on that.
Thank you to Generation Atomic, to you, to all the organizers who have been working in this for months in order for us, all of us, to be here. And thank you all.
Absolutely, and thank you for watching and supporting this work. And I think that's all we have to say for now. Yeah, well, it's been fantastic working with all you guys and chatting about first week of COP. Really appreciate it, everything you do. Let's keep the energy up and keep making a difference. And we'll see. Together is better. And we'll see you guys next time. Stay rad.